Well, hello designers. Today we're ready to start looking into the idea of illustration and what illustration means. And we're going to do that by just dipping our toe in doing some freehand drawing. And you should have already finished the video lesson on freehand drawing. So make sure that you finish that. It should be a review of the pen tool. So today we're ready to go ahead and get started with our very first simple illustration that you are going to use to create a product or piece of design that's going to get run through the laser cutter. So we're going to be doing something along the lines similar to this, where you will have both cutting and you can have internal piercing as well as some engraving on it as well. So let's get started. We're going to go to File, New, and let's set this document size up to let's do it 8 by 8. 8 inches by 8 inches, so that you have a decent a visual of just how big we're talking about. And you may want to get out a ruler. I've got some rulers in class. And think about how big you want your ornament or pin or keychain to be. So for instance, if you're doing an ornament, you're probably not going to be much wider than 5 inches by 4. So somewhere around those. And to turn the rulers on, you will go to View. And then you will go to, if I can find it, Rulers, right there, Show Rulers. So that now you see where these are. And if you want to drag on some guidelines, so you know, okay, if I know I want it to be 4 inches by 3 inches, I know I need to fit it in this box. Okay, so that's how you use the guide. So I just clicked and dragged a guide on there. All right, so let's get started. So even though we're doing freehand, I'm still allowing you to trace. But here's the key thing. You have to trace a photograph, not another illustration. Let me show you. So you're going to go to Google and you're going to go to whatever it is that you're going to be making an ornament of. Okay, for instance, an owl. So you can use a photograph of an owl. What you cannot use is a picture, okay, an artwork of an owl. This is already an illustrator's interpretation, similar to your DDAs where you interpret different objects. These are different designers have interpreted their design for an owl. So you do need to make sure you are only searching for photographs. All right? So just like we did with the flower video, we're going to trace. So I'm going to want a full body. And it doesn't have to be a very big photo. You're going to copy that. You're going to go back to Illustrator and you are going to paste that in there. Whoa, mama, that's big. Hold down Shift to resize. And then my suggestion is start out bigger than you maybe want your ornament to be, because you'll resize this later. Okay? So it can even go outside the margins, because I want to work big. It makes it easier to do my drawing. I can always resize it later. And don't worry if your photo hangs off the edges. All right. So let's go ahead and lock this photo so we don't accidentally keep grabbing it. So select it, go to Object, Lock, Selection. All right, so stop the video, find your photo, and lock it in now. All right, so from here, this is where you are going to start tracing your design, whatever you want to add. So I'm going to do this super fast. So remember, I would always set your fill to none and your stroke to a contrasting color. So I'm going to pick purple. I'm going to bump up my stroke just a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to go really fast. This is going to be really bad. So I'm going to recommend for this illustration that you do one silhouette that goes all the way around your object, okay? If you want to lock it, you can lock it. And then from there, you're going to trace all the other elements. So you can use any of the tools that you've learned. I'm going to stick with the basic tools. So I'm going to use my circles for the eyes. I'm going to freehand this little thing. I'm going to do my wing. This is getting really bad, guys, but you get the idea, right? So I'm tracing all the elements. You would take your time. You can make it as complex or as simple as you want. I will have shown you plenty of examples. So let's say this is what we want. It's not good, guys. But we're going to say it's done. We need to unlock and then delete that photo. Oh, that is ugly. All right. Now what we need to do is you need to help me understand what is going to be cut out and what is going to be etched. So let me show you. I'm going to pull up that slide presentation. So you'll notice that you can cut, and you can even cut inside, and then you have what's called etching. And your etching can be like a solid shape. So if you look at this log here, see how the whole area has been etched, okay? Or you can just do a line. So the little toes here, just the outline is etched. So you can etch lines. Or here, same thing with text. Like I could have put in the word owl on my, if I wanted to. See, these are lines, these are solid areas. So that's the first thing we need to do is we need to start deciding what is actually going to be cut out and what is going to be engraved. So we're going to go back, and mine is pretty simple. So I'm going to say I want this to be, obviously your outline, your silhouette, that's going to be cut out. So anything that you want cut out, that object needs to be clear, fill, and very important, I want you to make the stroke red. So I know that it's cut out. So like, let's say I want that cut out, and then I actually want his eyes to be cut out. So I'm gonna make that red. And I honestly don't care what shade of red, just make sure it's a red. Very important, okay? Then if I have a solid area that I wanna etch out, for instance this, so like this whole thing I want it to be etched down, similar to this. See how this owl, like I want it etched all the way down so it's going to appear a little bit darker. This is how I want these settings. I want your fill set to gray, any shade of gray. And I want your outline to be set at none. And then obviously if you have something over it, you're going to have to send that to the back just so I can kind of make sense of this. Okay, so that's going to be solid etched. Anything that you just want a line etched. So these are open-ended lines. So obviously they have to be just an etched line, but I could have just done the outline of this. Your etched lines, I want you to put a gray stroke. Again, any gray. So that just tells me anything gray, I know it's etching. Anything red, it's cutting. So if you get confused, double check with me. Take your time on this. Make sure that you look through this slide presentation to get ideas, that you fully understand what it is you have to do. All right, one last thing I want to show you, then this is the last thing you will do, is when you are ready, you need to somehow put a hole in the top if this is going to be a keychain or if it's going to be an ornament. So there's two ways you can do it. If you feel like you just can put a hole here, you can go ahead and just set that. Remember, you need to make sure that it's an outline of red. So if you wanted to, you could just do that. You could just put a hole. That's going to cut a hole in there. However, if I'm like, I don't want it in his forehead, you need to expand this here, and I'm going to show you the easiest way. So when you're ready for this, I would stop or go back to this video. So the easiest way to add a little circle up here is to simply use your ellipse tool. So I'm going to click and drag. I'm going to drag a bigger circle. Don't worry. We're going to fix this. I'm going to move it up so it's above his head. I'm going to make another circle, and I'm going to put this inside that circle. Okay. Now the only thing we have to do is we do need to join this with this outside. So you're going to click on the outside silhouette, and you're going to click on that outside circle. We're going to grab our shape builder, and we're going to add those two things together. Now they're added. And that's it. That's all you have to do. That's the easiest way to do it. If you happen to have something odd that you're having a hard time figuring out how to put the keyhole attachment at the top, let me know. So red outline means cut. Gray solid means etch the whole thing. Gray line means etch a line. Okay? If you have any questions, make sure you reach out. Good job today.